Grab your 3D embossing folders because I'm sharing 2 fun ways to add some colour to your world. There are many different ways to take 3D embossing folders a step further, and today's technique involves adding colour to the embossed image. Now I've got 2 different ideas to share with you, and I want to walk you through the process. So I've got the beautiful eclectic bouquet floral embossing folder, and I'm just using the cheat sheet from Spellbinders to find out exactly what sandwich I need to use for the Platinum 6 with the Altenew 3D folders. So it's really easy. That way you can never go wrong. If you look at the cheat sheet, you use whatever sandwich suits the die cutting machine that you have. So I've got some 80-pound Neenah cardstock here. If you are using a thicker cardstock, if you are going to be maybe doing some watercoloring for this technique, or something that you just prefer like a heavier weight cardstock, I would recommend to spritz it with a little bit of water first before you run it through the machine to prevent cracking of the cardstock. And how pretty is this folder? The other thing too is when you are running it through the machine, don't hang the cardstock out the side of the embossing folder, because sometimes you can end up with lines on the actual cardstock. Right, so we're straight into the first technique, which is to add colour using alcohol markers. Now these artist markers come in so many different colours. These are mostly from the Cottage Garden set, so really pretty colours. And what inspired me to create these cards today and to share this technique with you was a card that I recently made for a release for Altenew, and I will link that in the description below so that you can see another version of a 3D embossed folder coloured with some alcohol markers, just for some inspiration. So what I've done here is chosen the colours that I want to use, and I'm colouring each petal and each leaf separately. This is not for the faint-hearted, so if you want a fast and easy technique, stick around because I've got another technique to share with you to add colour really quickly on my next card design. So what I'm doing here is layering up the colours and blending them as I go. I'm using the embossed image as almost like a guide, almost like it's been stamped. It is a little bit harder to see, so sometimes you might need to refer to the packaging if you're not sure if something is a leaf or a petal. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. No one's going to know. So I'm using darker colours closer to the centre of the petals, the same as I would if I was colouring a normal flat stamped image. So adding a small amount of dark colour, then coming in with a lighter colour and then blending it out. I'm trying not to make the cardstock too wet because I know alcohol markers aren't very wet, but if you oversaturate the paper, there is the possibility of losing some of the dimension of the embossed image. So I wasn't really happy with the colours that I chose for the purple flower, and I really overworked this image, and I can do that sometimes, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to fix it soon. One of my tips is try not to get too hung up on blending the colours, because this is not going to be a perfection sort of type looking image. It's going to have a few sort of rough edges, and if you step away after you've blended the two, like a lighter and a darker alcohol marker together, if you step away and allow it to dry, you'll actually find that the colour will keep blending as it dries. And also as it dries, it's going to lighten a little. So if you want a darker image, you need to start with a slightly darker colour than you think you're going to need. Another great way to add a little bit of dimension is to leave some white space. And I've done that mostly on the pink flower, you might notice that, but to also add the layers of alcohol marker in different colours. I like to sort of let an area dry, and then you'll watch, I'll keep coming back to different areas. I don't stick to one image or one portion of the image, and just keep colouring until it's finished. I tend to allow some time for the cardstock to dry, for the marker to dry within the cardstock before I come back and add another colour or add some depth. And sometimes just sitting back and looking at the image as I'm colouring, that will give me a better perspective of where I think the shadows and also the highlights need to be. Now, my eyesight isn't what it used to be, even with glasses, so I've found some of the portions of this a little bit hard to see, but I just referred to the packaging. Another option is, if you're not getting any luck looking at the packaging, then how about heading to the website where the product's sold, because there's always going to be lots of examples there to let you see what the finished design is going to look like. Or if you've coloured it before, then you're also going to know, where the leaves, which ones are leaves and which ones are petals, especially in a busy bouquet like this one here. So with this purple flower, I did come back in and add a different tone of purple just to sort of lighten it up and make it look less grey. It just wasn't how I pictured it in my head. And that's one of the great things about alcohol markers, is that you can actually almost reactivate them, or blend a new color over top if you're not particularly happy. I also added the details to the flower centers using the markers, and I used the sketch end. It was easy because it's embossed, the image is actually raised, so as long as I didn't press too hard, I wasn't pressing onto the actual petals instead. And then I could just come in with a pen and draw the actual lines for the stamen. Like I said, I like to overwork an image sometimes. I wasn't sure how much of the colouring you'd want to see, so I kind of included a little bit of everything. So now it's time to assemble the card. I blended the edges really lightly with the Misty Morning ink and one of the big Altenew blending brushes. I did some white ink spray splattering. I did cut the panel down a little bit with my paper trimmer and then popped it up on the front of an A2 side fold card. I'm being careful here because the ink splatters should be dry, but I wasn't 100% sure. I popped up a sentiment and added some of the beautiful mother of pearl gem sparkles. These are my new go-to. And I nearly put them on both cards, but I didn't today. All right, so my next one, I did promise it was going to be a lot quicker, faster, and easier. This time I'm using the coordinating stencil. So this is actually a layering stencil. There's only 2 layers, and I decided only to do the shadow layer for the flowers here. So I have embossed the same like A2 panel yet again, and this time I've just grabbed a variety of colours of ink similar to the colours I used on the first card, because that means I don't have to think twice. If you're not sure how to line the panel up, there are kind of some giveaway quirks on the actual image itself. Like, just have a look at the flower and see if there's anything that you recognize that might fit. Because there's often like a petal or a leaf or something that you can sit there and go, oh, that's how it sits. So I literally just did 1 layer of color on each section. I never added any shading because I'm only doing the shading area on the flowers. Really quick and easy to do. But you can do this however you like. If you'd rather just use a pen to add the details because you're not confident to use a marker, that would work just as well. Another tip here is don't cut these panels down in your die cutting machine with a rectangle die. You will squish the image and lose the dimension. So use a paper trimmer and use a good adhesive to stick it to the card base. Because of the dimension, there's not going to be as much surface area hitting the card front. So use something that you know is going to hold. And like I said, I didn't use the mother of pearl on this card. Instead, I came in with the black onyx. I wanted a real kind of modern, simple look for this card. And I'm going to share both cards with you again now. The first design here where I've used alcohol markers on the raised embossed image, and this is time consuming, but the results are amazing. And the fast and easy way, which is to use coordinating stencils, if you've got one for your bouquet of choice when you're creating the card, you can pump some of these out real quick. So let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite card today. And I've got 2 more videos here for you to enjoy. I look forward to seeing you there. Click on the like button if you did like today's video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? It's totally free. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.